Ladies and gentlemen, the great storm begins. Right in time in April, right as I've predicted in my annual forecast 2025. And no stone is left unturned in world economy and in world politics. But what does this mean for us on long term, and how will the next weeks and months go on? Seen through the visions of astrology, we get a very clear picture of this. On 2nd April, Donald Trump has proclaimed Liberation Day for the USA, and he introduced massive tariffs for any regions of this world. For example, for European Union, 20%, for Switzerland, 31%, for China, 34%, and this initiated a trade war on global scale. We saw a bloodbath on the stock exchange, stocks, cryptos, commodities, everything crashed down, and people already talk about a Black Monday in our financial system. In Germany alone, the damage of these new tariffs, if they really are introduced on long term, is about 200 billion euro every year. And some countries like China, for example, they already said that they are going to introduce contra tariffs against these US tariffs. And so we will see if this will go into one of those tariff spirals. Donald Trump already said if any other country dares to introduce counter tariffs, then he will just increase them by 50% and 50% again. And so in the end, if one of the countries really goes into these tariff spirals, then de facto there will be no economy, no economic trade anymore. And others, they are going to call for deals. They want to make one of those famous deals with Donald Trump. And so we will see what happens from the perspective of Donald Trump. With Liberation Day, American industry is reborn, the old industry of the Earth Age. America is reclaiming its destiny, and it will make America wealthy again. But in fact, the absolute contrary will happen, because all of you who have seen my annual forecast know that I've already said back then in December that we will see a quite silent period from mid-February until the end of March, and in this time some very strange things are going to be prepared. And then in April, the great flood will start, and this great flood will contain many waves in waves in waves in waves. And this is what we now see with this tariff war, because what he initiated there will have so many unpredictable effects on many countries and business branches in our world that we will see a huge chaos. And the first subwave of this great flood I called the rise and fall of empires. Because Liberation Day will not be the first day of a golden future of America. It will be the first day when the dominance of the USA in the power pyramid of our world is going to cease. Because we will see the beginning of a multipolar world order. So other countries, other economic spaces on our globe, now as they cannot do reliable trade with the US anymore, they are going to build ways around the US. They are going to reorganize world economy in a way that it also works without the USA. So another subwave that I've proclaimed in my annual forecast is new corporations and new unities. And this we will also see here, and this will mean the end of the US dollar as the world leading currency. The good thing with the politics of Donald Trump is that he's really extremely honest. also under Democrat presidents, the USA had their own interests and made most of all very selfish decisions in many of those international politics, but it always was covered with very harmonic and diplomatic masquerades. So everybody kind of played along with it. Now, with this brutal honesty of Donald Trump, other countries are forced to position themselves. They are forced to take their position and to fight for their position. It's no time anymore for false diplomacy. It's most of all now going to start a battle all against all. So this old testosterone capitalism from the Earth Age will be over-exaggerated. Yeah, it will be like kind of turbified now with the politics of Donald Trump. And then this is the beginning of the end of this testosterone capitalism. Yeah, it's a bit like in the very, very late Caesar or in the very, very late empires of the monarchies in Europe. So the last years have been extremely opulent and wealthy and rich, and everything was full of gold and very over-exaggerated just before it completely crushed down. So this testosteronic turbo capitalism, yeah, from the US, it will force other countries to take more their position on another kind of economy. And so this will lead to a new world economy that I've described in detail in my last video. So please just look into that so that you can see what completely new forms of economy at the moment are going to rise and on long term are going to substitute the economy of the USA. So how is this going to get on? In April, chaos will completely increase. This great flood will have so many waves that we kind of drown in this whole very chaotic tohu vabohu. And Trump, he always has the themes in his hand. So he just sends us to all these places that he wants, and he always operates with invisible different planes. So if you think you understood what he's going to head for, then probably you are on the wrong side, because there are so many other different planes that he's considering. And many times you even don't know if it's just a maneuver to camouflage, or if it's the camouflage of the camouflage of the camouflage, or if it's something completely different. So and whenever he cannot proceed further with one topic, he just jumps to another. So now he has tried for many weeks to solve the Ukraine war in just 24 hours, and now he's a bit bored by this task, and so he just jumps to the next topic, to the tariffs, and now everybody's just talking about tariffs and nobody's talking about the Ukraine negotiations anymore. So, and this is just this tactic. So in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, we will be by the next topics, and everything before will just drown in chaos. Then in May, it will get more difficult for Donald Trump, because then he experiences quite uncomfortable surprises. If it will be an attack on himself as we had last year, or if it will be just a symbolic attack, like some of his friends falling into his back, or people who went with his way, they go separate ways with him. There will be some very uncomfortable surprises for him, and especially in the second half of May, he will feel as kind of very much taken down. He doesn't come further anymore as fast as he would love to. But apart from this, in the first 2 years, in 2025, in 2026, it seems, or it may seem, as if everything is working for him. Yeah, the economic indicators, they get better and better, and of course on short term, all these extreme activities that he is now realizing, they will on short term be successful, but on long term they will achieve the complete opposite. So from 2028 onwards, he will more and more see that all what he has experienced here, or what he was aiming to, is just breaking down. Then it will become very difficult for him. Yeah, whenever such strange or such epoch developments come onto humanity, then we don't just see this in the astrological patterns, we also see this as signs up there in the night sky. We will see omen up there. And what we've seen there from the end of January until the end of February was this mighty planetary parade, this planet chain, where really all of our planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and then even 2 of the invisible ones, invisible for our eye, not invisible for the telescope, Uranus and Neptune, all those formed one mighty line on the sky. And whenever it was night, I stood outside and observed this line. And then I realized that this line is definitely telling a story. It is telling a script of what is expecting us in 2025, 2026. The chain started with Mercury, the planet of communication. Everything is discussed, everything is analyzed. You talk much about it, and you have huge discussions and much brabbling and much talking about. About what? About the second planet, Saturn, the master of our society structure, the master of everything that was created and developed over long periods of time, everything that gives us security, everything that orders and structures our society. But Neptune, the third planet, these society structures, they are now dissolving. They are now like sand running through our fingers. We see, it drowns somehow into the deserts of the past. It doesn't have a future anymore. Everything sinks into a fog. Everything gets unclear and chaotic, and it seems as if our ivory structures of society are just going to drift away. How are we reacting on this? The next planet in this chain, Venus, the planet of harmony, the planet of compromises, who makes nice honey and nice sugar about everything. And no matter how extreme this pressure is to change something in order to prevent our society from dissolving, Venus is just making a nice face to everything. She makes compromises. She gives money to everybody. Like in Germany, we just saw it. In the European Union, we just saw the hugest amount of debts ever made. In this situation. But all these 4 planets, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and Venus, they are descending on the western sky. So right after the sun has set, and you can see this planetary chain on the sky, just half an hour later, these 4, they also descended below the horizon. They descended into past. What is the future? It's the next planets up there. It was the next one, Uranus, culminating in the sky. Uranus, the master of disruption, the master of change, the master of revolution. Uranus, the one who does something completely unpredictable. Yeah, and of course here this Mercury, this Saturn, this Neptune, this Venus, they are completely scared by it, and they say, oh, he's completely out of mind. But in the end, this Uranus is preparing the future, and to prepare the future means to destroy the past. Next one, Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter, the giant in our solar system. He wants to take all for himself. Yeah, he just grabs whatever he wants, and he's expanding over the horizons. Yeah, he's very optimistic about himself, and in the future nothing is a problem, and he just can take whatever he wants on our globe. And then the last one in this planetary parade, in this planetary chain, the war god Mars. Yeah, Mars the fighter, Mars the warrior, Mars the one with sword in hand, Mars the one who is just destroying everything that doesn't belong to the future, who is destroying everything that's just a relic of our past. And this Mars formed a very interesting and very obvious triangle up there. A triangle with the two heads of Gemini, with Castor and Pollux. Yeah, two very, very brutal fixed stars. Yeah, full of violence, full of egoism, and they just take whatever they want. They just take their stuff, and they are not afraid of taking drastic means to get whatever they want to achieve. And it's no matter, they just want to achieve. Yeah. So sometimes they achieve by being very smart and very winded and very brilliant, yeah, and also very false. But on the other hand, they also try just to take it with pure brutality. So we see the target, the aim of this planetary parade is Mars, the battle all against all, as I've already said in my annual forecast. So this planetary parade, it forms kind of a cosmic spear that now has become sharp. Yeah, and this cosmic spear now is going to coil all our 2025 and 2026. This may seem preoccupying, but on midterm, if we look on a bigger perspective until the year 2030 and forward, then this battle all against all will transform into a cooperation, everybody with everybody. So no matter how terrifying these developments at the moment are, they are necessary on long term to get into this multipolar world order where power is more balanced all across the world, and where in the end most countries in the world will benefit from it. So the times of silent reflection, they are over. The times of just criticizing and just blaming others, they are over. Yeah, we have been defensive for far too long. We were not able to get out of just reacting. Now the time has come to get into attack. Yeah. Now the time has come to get proactive. Now the time has come to fight for our visions for a better future. And together, as one mankind, we can manage this. So all the best, and thank you very much.